If you want to tell MongoDB exactly what index to use, you can do that using a hint command. Normally, Mongo makes its own decisions of what index to use based on analysis it's done of various query plans, but you can tell it what to use. And the way the hint command works is in the shell, you would append it to the end of the query, and you'd say hint, and then you give a JSON document that specifies what index you want. So this would be, I want the A ascending index, the compound index is A ascending, B ascending, and let's say C ascending. Use that index, please. And if you want the database to use no index and to use the cursor that goes through every single document in the collection, you can hint that you want it to use what's called the natural index. And that is specified with $natural, :1, ascending. That's my curly brace. Sorry about that. Now let's see what that looks like in the shell. I have the foo collection again in the test database. It's got 10,000 documents in it. Every one of them has an A, B, and C key, and you can see the pattern of the data here where A is 0, B is 0, C is 0. I've created some indexes already. I'm going to go find those for you. And here they are. You can see there's an index on just A, there's an index on just B, and there's an index on just C. There's also an index on D, and there are no documents with D in it, interestingly enough. So now let's do a find, and if we just do a find and we don't give any hint command, I'll do that first. And this query that I'm using prints out one document. Let's explain that query. We can see that it uses the B-tree cursor A, so it uses the A index, the index on just A. But if we don't like that, we can tell it to, let's say, use no index, and then it'll use the basic cursor and inspect every document, inspects 10,000 documents, kind of slow. Or we can say, you know what, we really want it to use the C index, which is also a fine index. And if we do that, it'll find one object. Again, it's really fast because those are all really equally good indexes for this particular query. So we use the C index with those bounds. What if I tell it to use the D index? The D index doesn't have any documents that satisfy the criteria. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna say hint, let's use a D index, please. Let's find it using the D index. If I do that, then I find that it uses the D index and it still returns the document. Now what if I do a new ensure index command and I say, you know, give me an index on E, but let's make that one sparse. So I'm gonna say create an index on E and make that sparse. It's actually gonna take a little bit of time because it has to go through all 10,000 documents. It did that, and now I'm going to hint on E. Say I want you to use the E index to satisfy this query. Oh, look at that. I actually get the wrong answer. All of a sudden, I've got no document. If I hadn't given any hint, I get one document, but if I hint on the E index, I mean, you can argue whether that's the wrong answer or not, but the reason is because the E index is sparse, and it doesn't have any entries in it for documents where there is no E key. And if you recall, none of these documents have an E key. There's not a single E key in any of these documents, so it returns nothing, interestingly enough. Okay, now it is time for a quiz. Here's the quiz. Given the following data in a collection, and we have this people collection with 3 documents, name Andrew, title Jester, name Dwight, title CEO, and the third document just says name John. And the following indexes, so you can see the indexes that are on the collection, which query below will return the most documents? And I won't go through them verbally because you can read them on the screen.